Kelly still getting a pass. Video here is Black perverts, child molesters, and the normalization of the rape culture in the Black community especially. To treat women like dirt. Human. So we talk a lot about culture wants to be treated a particular way, and we want to come together as a collective, but we silence also the women that are in the Black culture. And so that has not been talked about. Black women are made to be seen and not heard. And so this is a thing that has happened in Black culture. And I know this to be so because I'm Black, so I know what has happened from some of the things that I've witnessed. And if you pay close attention, if you really look at some of the things that happened back in the 70s, you'll see that not very many women were able to speak unless it was somebody that was real. She had an assertiveness about herself. And even with that, she had to be scripted on what it was that she was to say. So we also not only have R. Kelly, we have Charlemagne the God. And so I didn't bring his picture up, and I'm not going to bring his picture up. I'm sure most people in the Black community know who he is. And so that's a big controversy right there in and of itself. And so he's a rapist. I'm just going to say it. Yeah, he's a rapist. Because what he did to that young lady was rape. There's no way around it. And so this right here is ridiculous. So Sarah Mitkiff, she wrote this article. And so I'm going to go through this article. This is this man, R. Kelly here. And so Black women have a Me Too also movement. We've had it for years, but we hadn't been able to voice our opinions and what our problems are because we've been made to be silenced within our own culture. So 1 year after R. Kelly faced yet another accusation of sexually exploitative and abusive behavior, a quick refresher. He was accused of running a sex cult. The singer released a 19-minute long stream of a consciousness song titled I Admit. Now this man is admitting to all of the atrocities and the tragedies that he put these women through. But he's not admitting it because he's sorry necessarily. He's sorry that he's losing his money. R. Kelly's sorry that he got caught. He's sorry that now most people are focused on his career, whether it should continue or not. He's sorry that he's in the middle of this scandal that is publicized and polarized and all over national TV. He's sorry that now he's the poster boy of the Black culture's problem, what we have with the perverseness and the mistreatment of Black females in the Black culture with males like these. It's rampant. We have perverts in our midst. Some of them feel like they get too big for their britches and they get enough money in their pockets, it can get them free, exonerated, a pat on the back, and a new record deal, according to this one right here. So he says, I admit, where he once again denies every allegation lodged against him. as he has done for years. Color of Change, the largest online racial justice organization in the U.S., contacted Pitchfork offering to share their conversation with Kelly's longtime label Sony-owned RCA Records. Despite being accused of predatory and abusive behavior toward women and girls, of which dozens have come forward, for domestic abuse and child pornography, the label chooses to continue releasing Kelly's music. Can you believe that? They want to release his music after they know that this man was caught red-handed abusing all these black females. Throughout Color of Change's exchange with RCA, the label did not seem concerned with dropping Kelly. Okay? So Brandy Collins, a senior campaign director at Color of Change, recalled the conversation when speaking to Pitchfork. The organization drew comparison between Keisha's allegation against Dr. Luke, all of which he denies, whom RCA cut ties with, and the allegations made by black women against R. Kelly. The representative said, okay, so, well, you have to understand it took years of organizing around Dr. Luke, hashtag Free Keisha, before we took action, Collins recounted. It comes down to whose voices matter. I think RCA can continue to hide behind blanket economic arguments privately. Well, he continues to sell records, so that's worth more than the stories, bodies, lives of these black females. See, when it comes to black females, nobody cares when it comes to our well-being and rape culture. It's like we asked for it. Oh, it's the way you look, or the way you asked for it, or you went to his house first, or you're not accepting of us, so we have to go to this extreme. You wouldn't be surprised all of the things that some of these males will say to be on the defense of some of the atrocities and the tragedy that they put black females through. Until it makes financial sense that RCA to drop R. Kelly, it's unlikely he will be leaving their roster anytime soon. This is RCA, everyone. Sounds like they're going to endorse him, even though he did all of this and it was founded to be true. So the song, I suppose he must have performed it. And so he's worried about his money and his status and staying on top no matter what. He's in defense of his money and his assets. That's what he's in defense of. He said he was broke and he lost a couple of houses. And so he had to do what he had to do because he's worried more about his career and his money rather than these victims. So Collins also pointed out why it has taken so much longer for the alleged victims' voices to be heard and, more importantly, taken seriously. So Collins calls attention to the fact that many of the R. Kelly alleged victims are black women and girls, and many of whom are low-income backgrounds. So when it's black women and it's low income and women of color, it's like we don't count. And so this is what I've said on multiple occasions, even in other commentary that I've spoken about and people that I've talked to even online, that when we speak out on issues, or if we don't speak out on issues, it's as if we don't count. And that doesn't make it right. It's not a just issue to ignore our problems. they are just as real as any other color that's out there. And so I'm going to say that because it's true. So Collins calls attention to the fact that many of the R. Kelly alleged victims are Black women and girls. Hear that? Black women and girls, many of whom are from low income backgrounds. So there is the cultural acceptance of allegations when they come from one type of person, and a sort of automatic side eyeing that casts if they don't have the same level of power, Collins explained, which is so true. So shortly after the news broke of Kelly's alleged sexual cult, protests from the Time's Up movement, hashtag Mute R. Kelly, Fulton County, Georgia, and local protests across the country contributed to several tour dates being canceled, including Kelly's hometown, Chicago. And they were ignored by Live Nation, Kelly's tour management company. Though the county officials tried to cancel Kelly's Atlanta concert, they were rebuffed by Live Nation. And so this is very insulting to Black women all over. So in May, Spotify announced its partnership with Color of Change among several of the advocacy groups to develop a policy against harmful or hateful content. So artists who fell into this category, like R. Kelly was one, would no longer be promoted by the streaming platform on its original playlist. So while well-intentioned, the policy was ultimately short-lived. Dissent erupted from the industry in the form of a high-profile complaint from the artists and executives questioning Spotify's policy. And the streaming platform backpedaled. Can you believe that? It backpedaled because you know why? Because it's Black females. And I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say this. If it isn't white females being abused and raped, and it's Black females, it's looked at another way. So I have to be honest and bring that out there, because I wouldn't be telling the truth if I just made it seem like it's just everyone, because everybody is not looked at the same way. So again, it comes down to whose voices that matter. So for the past 2 decades, it has been the woman and women and girls he has abused and exploited. So the voice that has given unlimited access to the mic is Kelly's, thanks to his continued commercial and financial success. So Refinery 29 has reached out to RCA, the Color of Change, for comment. We'll update this story with any new information, okay? So this is very insulting that some of these companies are wanting to endorse him despite what he has done and what has been proven to be true, that he has abused all these women. Now, some of the YouTubers have been doing videos. They've talked about their points of view and opinions on these issues. But when women talk about this, and Black women in particular, we get talked down to, cussed out, treated like an outsider, or they're grabbing at straws trying to figure out how they're going to be on the defensive, or they're calling Black women out of their name, or making horrible videos to support the claims as to why, oh, this is why they don't marry Black women, or this is why they don't do this and this to Black, or this is why we go to white women and these type of things. This is why we go to this woman and that Black woman. So Black women are the most unprotected, disrespected, and unappreciated women there are on the face of the planet. I'm going to say that because this shows you right here, this is a slap in the face to all Black women of color. For this man to make this music, I don't care what kind of talents he had. Most of your con men and men that are trying to coerce women into the bed will use all of their wits and charm. He called himself the Pied Piper. He knew what he was doing. This is somebody, he had a sex cult. Young females. He tried to marry a young girl. back in the days, and I remember this because this was during my era of when they were doing the 80s and 90s music. And he married Aaliyah, and her parents weren't having it. They were against it from the beginning. I remember that. This man, he claimed he had a problem. He was going to go see a therapist about it. Didn't look like it worked. It seemed like he got worse. He got actually more aggressive with what he was doing, and decided, I'm going to have like a little harem. I'm going to run a cult. I'm going to kidnap women against their will, or I'm going to lie to them, make them think that I'm going to make them famous. And what he did is he used them. He used them, used their bodies, used them as if he was prostituting the women on the street. He even had people that were working for him that would coach the women on how to perform sex acts on him. And they want to give this man a pass. Look at the title of this. This is a slap in the face. This is very disrespectful to every woman of color that there is out there. This man, he wants to continue making music despite what he's done. He is not faced up to the responsibility that he should just quit. He has no respect, and there are other men like him out there that have no respect for females. And so I just showed you a video how it is with all women, but also women that are white. But women of color have this problem, and it's pervasive and it's prevalent in our culture. And that is the reason why you find a lot of us won't get married, because those of us that are married, these men feel an entitlement to sleeping with any woman that walks across their path. They can do what they want. It's all free game. It's like a free market out there. And whether you have a marriage license or not, they feel like they have some type of entitlement to your private parts. And your no to them means yes. And so this is what we have going on, and it's all too prevalent. And when it comes to women of color, we're treated even worse. You think that woman getting punched in the face with something? I know some women who are black who got more than punched in the face. They've got broken arms, a broken leg, some busted up eye, a busted jaw. But she's not supposed to report it. She's not supposed to complain, or she must have did something wrong to deserve that. Never, the fault never falls back on the man. Always the female. Always when it's a black woman, it must be her fault, the reason why she's left with the kids. Not that he wasn't fooling around and he wanted to play around out at bars and strip clubs and hang out with, prostitutes and, street walkers and hookers. No, it always has to be the wife's fault, or the girlfriend did something wrong. And when I seen a sick, nasty video earlier today of what was supposedly a couple, and she was accepting of this idiot. He was calling her all kinds of, derogatory names and hollering and screaming at her and talking about he was a pimp. He was making his money. And some of these women are accepting of this treatment because they feel like they have some sense of entitlement to these type of dudes, because they feel a fear of being alone for a while. They're used to being in abusive relationships, and they're accepting of this type of stuff because they've been conditioned that this is normal. That's why I said normalize rape culture. Oh, a man is going to be a man. If he plays around and he's out there having sex with who knows what knows who, whatever's out there, and he comes home and gives it to her, it's okay. But she can't do that. And so these are the kind of things that people don't hear enough of. They don't want to hear, because if it isn't white people, white girls, that's not our problem. Black lives matter like the white lives matter. Okay? Just like them. Just like the white girls, they need somebody to look at their problem. Well, black women need somebody to look at their problem. Black women and girls. Our problems are just as prevalent as anyone else. And you have these men that think it's okay to sleep with any and everything and then whoop up on women. But you have a meeting that just happened recently with a bunch of black church pastor males, and not one of them stepped to Donald Trump at all, because they were told before they got in the meeting that they was to be silenced. These are supposed to be black men and leaders in the black community. See what leading that gets you. And here we got men like this running around, who he calls himself the man and the pimp and the Pied Piper. And so this is looked at as being okay. They're going to give him some money. They're going to give him a pass because he's got a little bit of talent, although he can read. And he's treating these women like dirt and worse than that. And so now he's got a pass because it's all about the money. It's not about the lives of these women and these girls that he's destroyed. All about RCA's record label and what kind of money that they can get from this cult, sex cult leader. That's what he is. He's a sex cult leader. And then we have this Charlemagne the God. They said he confessed to what he did. But you know what? I have a feeling, I don't know, I hadn't really read just recently on what's going on, but I have a feeling that he'll still be around on his little show. I heard he got to keep the show, despite what he did. Yeah, they get money in their pocket and they get powerful and they think it's okay to talk about women like they're pieces of meat and laugh about what they've done to some woman, how they assaulted her and how they raped her. And they think it's funny because they don't have no power here in America to actually have the balls to stand up to Donald Trump and some of these men that are making these crazy stand your ground laws, but they got the balls to whip up on black women and mistreat black women and rape them and treat them like dirt. But nobody's fighting for the real rights that we need to be fighting for, like this, getting rid of scum like this. Nothing but scumbag. And here we got people running around talking about how they want to support doing different things to lift the black community, and we got people supporting this monster right here, and some of the other ones that are following with it. They're nothing but monsters. Monsters making music so they can exploit other women of color and ruin their lives. That's what's out there. And then we have men that sit up here and they're complicit with this. This could be your daughter. This could be your niece, somebody you're close to that you know you wouldn't want nobody putting their hands on, but you condone him. Then you're saying it's okay that this is normal. This is something to be acceptable. Is this the legacy? What you want to leave behind for your children? I don't think so. And this is sick and perverted and disgusting. And then you have a group of black men that's supposed to be church leaders that couldn't speak out and ask questions of Donald Trump on what kind of issues that we need to resolve in the black community, because they're too busy taking photos and looking cute, because that's more important. And then they had the nerve to call themselves Christians. Well, Christianity is a white religion to begin with. So that's why the Black community is so confused and screwed up, because we got people that will break their neck to buy a record from a monster like this, and then the real issues we need to be battling, we're not. We can sit on radio shows and talk about how we abuse Black females, and then get married to another Black female and have another Black female talk about other Black females and talk down to them, and normalize and help feed the monster of this rape culture in the Black community as being, oh, it's a man thing. It's sick. It's a sick thing. It's a sickness. It's a cancer in the Black community. That's what it is. And it needs to be plucked out right away. Thanks for listening.